It binds us together, north to south, east to west, sea to shining sea, purple mountains' majesty, and all the places in between. And it's all around us if we simply look. Our shared American history. And although our time as a nation may be short in years, it is long in its significance. And as we move together into the future, we must never, ever forget the path we have traveled, how far we have come, and fight to protect the places that have helped make us who we are. For the past 25 years, the National Trust for Historic Preservation has helped lead that fight, placing 242 sites on their America's 11 Most Endangered Historic Places list.
The 11 Most Endangered list is a program celebrating its 25th anniversary this year that brings attention to some of the most threatened places in the United States.
It gives individual communities that have been working really hard to try to save a site, or those communities that may not necessarily recognize the importance of the site that's in their midst, it gives that national focus to it.
We find again and again that our partner organizations have been toiling to tell this story. But when the National Trust says, you know what, this place is important enough to include on the 11 Most list, it very often changes the dynamic.
Historic Congressional Cemetery was founded in 1807. It means it's 70 years older than Arlington, and it really served as the first national cemetery for our country.
Paul Laurence Dunbar, Frederick Douglass, Ida B. Wells, and there are a list of other people. Eleanor Roosevelt were all speakers from that pulpit addressing areas that are very critical to the life and the well-being of African Americans. So it's not just a building that needs to be preserved for the African American community. It's a building that needs to preserve because it has a history in the United States of America. It is a landmark.
John Coltrane's house, though he is an African American, that's a music-related historic site. That is one of our American musical pioneers. And the idea that a site like that could move up to the level of being on the endangered list, on the 11 Most, was just incredible to me.
It received a huge amount of media attention. Within days of the listing, an anonymous donor stepped forward with a $50,000 contribution to our local partner organization there. And it really showed the way the 11 Most list can galvanize attention and action.
It is absolutely safe to say that the National Trust for Historic Preservation and that designation of 11 Most Endangered was a key element in saving Historic Congressional Cemetery.
So for every site that is listed on the 11 Most Endangered list, the National Trust partners with a community organization, a local preservation organization, or a neighborhood. And in each instance, we put together a plan that takes advantage of our combined resources, the National Trusts, plus our partner organizations.
The National Trust for Historic Preservation has the opportunity to bring us together, whether we're organizations, individuals, corporations. It doesn't matter. It gives us a rallying point to begin to say history in this country is important, and the way we preserve it is even more important.
There are hundreds of stories to tell at any given place about the workers who were there, or the soldiers, the women's history, the children's history. There's a multi-dimensional way to approach any particular site, and we think it's particularly important when we are preserving these places to make sure that we're telling the full story and connecting it to the lives of as many people as possible.
I think the future of the cemetery is actually quite bright these days. There's a lot more people who are involved with it. It will never, ever go back to that place I first saw where the grass was waist high. There's too many people who care.
When people get that sense of what history can be, that it really can be both interesting as a story, but it's a place you could actually visit, that's the difference between having that sign because something was there and actually appearing on, say, an 11 Most and saying, wait a minute, there's a good story that happened here. We need to figure out a way to preserve this, because more people will then understand, historically speaking, it'll make history come alive.
As you head into your community today, no matter where that community may be across this great nation, look upon it with new eyes. Know that it is, as you are, part of something greater, a shared story that is worth preserving. And with effort from people just like you, and help from the National Trust for Historic Preservation and programs like the 11 Most, we can save the stories of who we are. One field, one house, one landmark, one historic landscape at a time.